Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I am so glad to be back talking to you today. I've taken a few weeks off. I know Christmas is such a busy time of year for everybody, and especially in our house. We've had a busy season this last year, and I've enjoyed time with family and friends and just doing lots of baking and cooking and doing some crafts and getting gifts ready to give away. So it's been busy, but I have missed being on here and visiting with each of you. My husband's birthday is the 23rd of December. My daughter-in-law's birthday is the 20th of December. And then, of course, we had Christmas here, and then my oldest son was able to come home for a week this last week. He had to go back home, but we enjoyed his time here with us. And then our youngest son is at home from college, and so it has been a busy time here at our house. I hope each of you had time to spend with your friends and family, maybe a little bit of time to get some stitching in and just enjoy the season. So thank you for waiting on me and for tuning back in, and we'll have a busy year coming up and hopefully lots of finishes to share. So let me tell you a little bit about what I have been working on. I've got several finishes to show to you today. The first one, I received this kitted up as a gift from a dear friend of mine, Judy. And when I saw it, it just made me giggle because of the saying, it's just too cute. It's a pattern by Lizzie Kate, and it's called Socks and Underwear. And I don't know how many of you have told your kids before, but when you stop believing in Santa Claus, you get socks and underwear in your stockings. So I still put my stocking up every year and expect it full when I go down on Christmas morning. To me, that's one of my favorite traditions of Christmas. I love the stockings. My dad, that was one of his favorite things. And so even the year before he passed away, he was still stuffing everybody's stocking, as well as my mom. So stockings are a big hit at our house. So I'm not going to stop believing. Although socks and underwear, the older you get, the more you appreciate those too, I think. But anyway, when Judy sent this to me, I thought, I've got to stitch this. So this was one of the things I stitched during my Christmas break. And I had an idea of how I wanted to finish it as soon as I saw it as well. So I'm going to show it to you. And I just think he is the cutest little Santa Claus. And so what I did after I stitched him, it was using the call for colors and linen. And I love, I'm not sure if you can see it maybe a little bit, but his beard and mustache and that have a little bit of a fuzz to him. The thread was that whisper, and I love the look that it gives. Just lots of fun to stitch. So it says, when you stop believing, you get socks and underwear. And then it's even got a couple little buttons that you can attach to it whenever you get it stitched. But I just loved stitching this guy and putting him together. I put him, let's see if I can hold him back a little bit. I put him on a paddle that I found at my TJ Maxx. And it's from Home Goods, and I'll have the information on the back for you. But it's a nice thick paddle. I paid $8.99 for this paddle, so super bargain. I was so excited when I saw it. It was over in the cutting board aisle, kind of where they have all their kitchen stuff. So you might check that out the next time you're in a TJ Maxx or Home Goods store. So after I painted the paddle, I painted it a red and then waxed it with a dark wax. Judy also included this flannel and our little piece of wool here, and I loved how that looked, so I added that on a sticky board. Then I mounted my stitching on a second sticky board and attached to that wool piece. Added a little bit of the jute cording around it, and then I had some greenery that I cut apart. And you notice what I have for my bow. I took a pair of kids' socks and used that to kind of make a bow at the top. And then I had this little ornament left over from some pieces I had at Hobby Lobby. And so I am thrilled to death with how it turned out. I didn't do the final finish till after Christmas, but it's going up next year, right off the bat. So if you have this pattern, this is just hopefully a little idea for how you can finish it. I think he'd be cute finished in many ways. He's a good size for a pillow if you wanted a pillow. But as soon as I saw it, I thought, I've got to use socks in this somehow or the other. So that's why I made the little bow using the socks. So that's my first finish, and probably my last Christmas finish for right now. So I'm going to lay that over here. The next finish I have is one from last year, but I dug it out because when I take all my Christmas down, I'm ready to put Valentine's up. And so as I got it out, I thought, oh, I need to show that again. I love bees, and my coffee bar has a lot of bee things around it when it's just not Christmas, when it's normal time of the year, I guess. And so I had done this last year and just loved it. I got the frame from Hobby Lobby, painted it, and then I mounted this sticky board with some fabric, just a little Valentine print, put this hot pink rickrack around the edge, and then mounted my stitching on another sticky board. And it's just, I believe in love. It has a little heart shape cut out on the bee scab. Then for the bow at the top, I used, all these ribbons came from Hobby Lobby. I used 3 different types to try and pull in all the colors in the design. I had this little red felt rose that came from Hobby Lobby as well, glued that down, and then just added the little bee. He came from the garden section in Hobby Lobby. And then I have it, put one of these little sticky command hook hangers and hung it up on my coffee bar, and ready for Valentine's Day. I have this pattern. I'll post it on my Facebook page again. I had it last year, and I'll post it again Monday for those that are new to the page. So tomorrow, if this is something you think you might enjoy stitching, you can go on to the Violets and Verses Facebook page and purchase the PDF for this pattern as well. So that's my second finish. That was kind of a one from last year, but still I like to show it. Then, since I was in the Valentine mood, I cannot, and I'm just going to be honest, I can't remember which Facebook group that I saw this pattern on. I've seen it on a couple of them recently, matter of fact, this last week, and I thought it was adorable. But it's this little, it looks like a little fairy or little angel holding a bouquet of hearts. And so the paddle is one that I got from Hobby Lobby last fall. They had it in their fall section. I just painted it wicker white and then used some dark wax to kind of distress it a bit. The ribbon, I also got that from Hobby Lobby. Added a little bow and a button in the middle of it. A little bit of rickrack around the edge, and it's ready to go on my tier tray. So trying to get all my Valentine's goodies up and set up so I can enjoy it before Valentine's Day. But this was a free pattern. She was so super quick to stitch. I love doing her. I sat down and did her in one afternoon. So she's a quick stitch. And I will have down below, there is an email, and you can email if you can't find it, or you may have already seen this freebie posted on Facebook. If you can't find it, you'll be able to email the woman, and I'm sure she'll let you download a copy of the pattern. But I thought she was just a cute little piece to put on a tier tray for Valentine's. So that's my other finish. That was a quick one for this week. Then I showed you guys that I was working on this back last fall, and I was going to give it to my friend for Christmas. And then I just got busy and didn't get it finished. I thought, I'll get her something else for Christmas, and I'll give her this for Valentine's. So I'm going to show it to you because it's finally finished. And like I said, I've been in a Valentine mood this last week, so I'm ready to send it to her so she'll get it a little bit early. But I love this saying. It's by Heartstring Samplery, and it says, I wish you lived next door. And isn't that how we are with our friends? I have several friends that live off a good distance, and I miss the time when we can't be together, and so look forward to the times that we are together and can catch up and visit and just have lots of laughs and fun. And so I love this saying, and I thought, I have got to do that for this friend of mine. So after I finished it, I found this little box at Hobby Lobby, and they have several different sizes. It's in the unfinished wood section, and I thought it kind of looks like a suitcase. So for me, I was like, that would be cute, because it's like, I wish you lived next door. So put your clothes in a bag and come see me. And I kind of thought that tied in with the saying just a little bit. So I painted it kind of this burnt red, gave it a dark wax, and then attached the stitching to some sticky board, added some chenille trim around the outside edge. Then I'll show you what I did inside because I wanted it to be something I could use. I painted the inside as well, and then just added a little cushy bottom. I put a piece of sticky board with some Warm and Natural, and then a piece of fabric that kind of coordinated with the outside of the box. That way, hopefully it can be something that can hold some treasures they have, and they'll enjoy using it. So that's my other finish that I finally finished all the way from last fall. Do you guys ever do that? You have projects that it takes you a bit longer to finish them than you thought it might? It does me. I hope I'm not the only one. Now, I have a couple other things I want to show you. I'm having a look at my list because I've got so much. You may want to put me on pause and go grab a hot cup of hot chocolate or coffee because I've got so much to share with you today. I had shown you this little sampler that I got quite a while back, and I think I said that this little girl reminded me of Annie Oakley because I think she was a tomboy. I think she was not happy about having to sit down and stitch. She was ready to get outside and do some other things. And I say that because in her sampler, there are so many little things that I found. She was definitely not OCD. If she ran out of thread in the middle of a letter, I think, just picked up whatever thread she had handy and finished the letter. And so I'm going to show you the original again. This is by Mary Ellis, 1850. And she's got lots of different colors in it, but she's also just changed colors midway through. And so I thought this was just a fun sampler. I've enjoyed stitching it and reproducing it. And so I finally got the reproduction done. And the only difference in mine and the original is that I believe Mary used wool thread, and I just wanted to use cotton threads. Just the regular DMC. There's a small section in the original sampler that she used cotton as well, but the majority of the original sampler is stitched in wool. So on this one, I didn't use any wool, but that's my reproduction. Now I want to show you an adaptation that I did, and just kind of a little overview. When you have an antique sampler, you can either do a reproduction, which is typically what most people do, and that means that when I reproduce an antique sampler, I'm wanting to make it as close to the original as I can get. I want the linen to be very similar. I want the thread color to be as close to the original as I can get. That's a little tough sometimes because how many years ago it's been. You know, the thread dye lots are going to be a little different, but I want to make it as close to the original color as I can. I also want to reproduce her design as closely as I can. Meaning, when I reproduced Mary Ellis and she had one letter with 3 different colors in it, I left it that way because that's how she did it. And it kind of makes me smile because I'm just picturing this little girl that can't wait to get outside and do something, and her mom's making her sit there and finish her stitching for the day. And so she doesn't have time to find thread that matches. She's just grabbing the quickest thing and the closest thing she has so she can finish it and get on outside and do what she wanted to do. But the reproduction is going to be as close to that original sampler as you can get. And so that's what I did with this one that I just showed you. Now, I decided I wanted to try an adaptation on this one. And when you do an adaptation, you're taking into consideration the original sampler, meaning I'm not going to change it up so much that you can't tell it came from that original sampler. It looks very, very similar, but it also, because it's an adaptation, it gives me some liberties on maybe floss color. It may mean that some of the design, she didn't leave spaces as much on one row as she did the next row. And so maybe I want to even that out where each row has the same number of spaces. And so that's what I did. And I decided for the adaptation, and you can tell this should be finished tonight. I still have to go from here over and up with that single stitch border, and then I'm finished. But I decided that I was going to make the rows even with the in between, how many spaces that were left between the border and the letters. And I knew since I was going to do it in one color thread, the the berries in the basket wouldn't show up. So what I did was just enlarge the basket and leave the berries off. And so that's my adaptation. And so what I'm going to do with this particular piece is turn it into a drum. The reproduction I'm going to have framed because I like to hang my original and the reproduction I do next to each other. And then my adaptation, which is this one, I will turn into a drum. So hopefully next week you'll get to see the drum fully finished. So that's been lots of fun. I thoroughly enjoy working with the antique samplers, and so I've had lots of fun working with Mary Ellis and reproducing and adapting the samplers. Let me share my whips. I'm having to keep track because it's been a while since I did this, so you guys just bear with me. I started a new whip because this year, I don't know about you guys, but this year has gone so fast. It seems like it was just August. I was getting ready to have a retreat and busy getting everything ready for that, and then I snapped my fingers and it's Christmas. And then now Christmas is already over and I'm getting Valentine's up. So this year has just flown by. And I know my grandmother and mother used to always say, well, the older you get, the quicker the time goes. And of course, when you're young, you just don't hardly believe them. But I think they're right. I believe that now. I'm going to show you this sampler. It's by Pillion Creations, and it's Mary Queen of Scots. And I just fell in love with that sampler. I enjoy the history behind Mary Queen of Scots in the first place. I think she had such a tragic life. If you're familiar with Mary Queen of Scots, she was crowned the Queen of Scotland when she was only 7 days old. And of course, she had no idea. She was just a baby. But she was given in marriage to the Prince of France. And so at age 16, she married and would become Queen Consort to France. And then later, just a year later, she was widowed. So by age 17, she was a widow. She then was returned to Scotland because that was her homeland. And she just, one bad thing after another happened to her, and ended with her cousin, Queen Elizabeth, had her beheaded because she could have state claims on the throne of England at one point. So anyway, I won't bore you with a whole lot of history on that, but Mary Queen of Scots, if you ever have a chance, look up some of her history. And this particular pattern, they give you a little overview, and it's a very good overview of the history behind Mary Queen of Scots. And I will share some of what they said about this particular sampler. In the sampler, there is a picture of a thistle, and that's to represent her homeland of Scotland. Then we have the fleur-de-lis, which represents her time in France. The unicorn is a symbol of Scotland as well. There are 2 castles, one for Scotland, one for France. And then this saying is, in my end is my beginning. And I think that's probably true for her. It says that it reminded her of her mother's emblem, the phoenix, which flanked this little motto here. That's a phoenix. And so that brought her lots of peace, it said later on in her life, as she went through so many different trials. But I found this and thought, of course, you know I love samplers. And then I love the history behind Mary Queen of Scots. And I thought, I've got to do this sampler. Now, I'm doing it in a blue, just because I have lots of blue in my house. So I'll show you my start. We have had, my little group of friends, we have had a girls' trip to Scotland planned the last 2 years. We were supposed to have gone 2 years ago. And of course, COVID hit and we had to cancel. So we thought surely in a year it'd be fine. So we moved it to last year. And lo and behold, we're still fighting COVID. So as of now, and I say that very optimistically cautious, we are on for the end of May. So we talked to our tour guide recently. He said everything is looking good. Of course, we have to take precautions and show verification that, you know, we don't have COVID. But as of now, our trip to Scotland is on go. I booked my flight the other day, so I'm being very optimistic, I hope. But I want to take this sampler completed with me when I go to Scotland. We're going to tour Stirling Castle. And Stirling Castle is where Mary was crowned Queen of Scots. And it said, there's a saying that said, whoever rules Stirling rules Scotland. And I thought, how cool would it be if I could have the sampler finished and get a picture of me holding it at Stirling Castle. So that's, I know that's a little nerdy, but that's kind of my thing. I'm excited about it. So I've got a goal and a timeline to hopefully get this finished. And I got a pretty good start. I used a buttercream and for the linen, and I'm using this darker, let me pull so I don't tell you the wrong color. It's a Weeks Pea Coat. So that's the thread that I'm using. And that's what I've got done so far. So I enjoy doing the letters and the border. I think there's 9 pages to this sweet sampler. So you all be thinking about me. I'm just taking it 1 page at a time. And hopefully I'll have it done and can take it with me when we go on our trip. So that's one of my big whips. It's going to be with me for a little while. Then I have another whip, but I haven't actually started it yet. I signed up for it this week. And if you go in, there's a Facebook page called I Stitch. And there's an I Stitch regular Facebook page, and there's an I Stitch band sampler stitch along. And that's the one that I joined. It's a long sampler that they're stitching on some banding, and then you'll attach it to a spool, wooden antique spool, and it's going to last for 30 weeks. Each Friday, they post one small section of the band sampler. And it's a small enough section that you could stitch it in a couple of hours. So that's going to be my thing. On every Friday evening, while I'm watching TV, I'm going to sit and stitch that Friday's piece. Now, they're 2 weeks into it. I didn't see this until the first week they started, so I'm running a little bit behind. And I had to order my banding, and it's coming from Denmark. So she emailed me the first of last week and said it had shipped. And she said, expect maybe 20 days for it to get here. So you guys will probably hear me holler and shout when it arrives in the mail from wherever you're at. I'm anxious to start it. I'll have some catching up to do, so it won't be just a couple of hours. That first time I stitch on it, it will take me a little bit to catch up, but it is just beautiful. So if you enjoy samplers and you enjoy stitch alongs, I encourage you go to their Facebook page, and lots of beautiful, everybody's posting with their progress, and you'll see some beautiful stitching. So that's going to be another whip once it gets in here. Let's see, what else did I have? My stitching resolution. Since this is the first time I've come to you since the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you've got lots of great plans for 2022. I know I have. I'm excited. I'm planning on this being a fantastic year. And so I thought I would just share some of my stitching resolutions to you. The first thing that I decided, I am bad about overwhelming myself, meaning I can get lots of irons in the fire. I enjoy doing lots of different things, but sometimes I get too many things going. And so I can't enjoy all of it because I've got too many different things. So I thought this year I'm really going to narrow down and just do the things that I really, truly love to do the most, because I think if this pandemic has taught us us anything. It's that life is very short sometimes, and that we never know what tomorrow can bring. And we need to enjoy each and every day to the greatest possible extent we can. And so sometimes that means cutting back on some things. And so that's what I've decided I'm going to do. I'm going to narrow my span of what I've been doing and just focus on some of those things that mean the most to me. Now, bags, project bags. You guys know I love project bags, so I will have to continue that. I'll keep having bag sales, so just check on my Facebook page, Violets and Verses, and I'll post those sale dates. My next bag sale is a Valentine theme, and it will be this next Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. And I'll post reminders and sneak peeks on my page this next week. So the project bag sales will continue. Mom loves to stitch project bags anyway, and so she's like, you are going to keep doing the project bags, so I'm going to keep her busy. She can't be without a job. So project bag sales will continue. With that, I will still offer magnetic boards and Yazzie bags periodically, so be watching for that. I love to do retreats. Now, with COVID, that has been a bit tricky. And so I know I have a Zoom retreat coming up the 28th and 29th of this month, and I can't wait. It's for the love of samplers. We have Claudia Kistler that's going to be a guest presenter, as well as Richard Greisick. And I can't wait to learn even more from both of them. They're so reputable and have so much knowledge when it comes to samplers. So I'm super excited to participate in that Zoom retreat with all of our ladies that are joining in. We've had some fun class projects. They're a fast group of stitchers. They have stitched and finished their projects so quickly. So it's been fun, and it will be fun when we get together on the 28th and 29th. I am working on a couple of in-person retreats. One of them, I'm trying to decide about a date. And when I finalize everything, I'll post it on the Violets and Verses page. I'm looking at possibly doing a spa theme type retreat. And so I'm really excited about that. So just kind of be watching, keep your ear open, and I'll post more info as I get it narrowed down to time frame. I'm also working with a dear friend of mine, Mary Susan, and we are in the planning stages of a retreat on the East Coast. So for all of you East Coasters, be watching. And if you love samplers, especially be watching. And we'll tell you more information about that as we make decisions and kind of finalize some plans and things. So lots of fun upcoming retreats that we have in the works. Just have to finalize them. Then my change that I want to make this year, I enjoy doing small little projects, but probably my biggest love is reproducing samplers. And I know this last year it seemed like I was so busy, I didn't have the time that I wanted to really work on my sampler reproductions. And so I really want to focus a little bit more this next year on my antique samplers and reproducing those. I have my Bristol, and that's top of my list to get reproduced. And then I have a couple of new samplers that I'm going to show you that I just purchased from Richard Greisick, and cannot wait to get started on them. And I also have a couple of other samplers that I bought last year that have just set and looked pretty in my house, but I want to chart them so I can share them with everybody else that might like to chart and stitch them as well. So let me show you the two samplers that I purchased most recently. This first one is by Chadwick, and she was stitched this in 1829. And when I saw this on Richard's page, I absolutely just fell in love with it. I think the first thing that caught my eye were those little sheep down there. I know my mom loves sheep. I do too, but she really loves sheep. And I enjoy stitching brick homes. And so this one happened to have both. It had some cute little sheep, and it had a brick home that I knew I would love to stitch. So I cannot wait. I'll try and zoom in and give you some little close-ups of it. The verse is also very sweet on this particular one. It says, Bless Mary, what a happy choice, and may I choose the same, to sit at Jesus' sacred feet and love his gracious name. And she stitched all that over one. It just amazes me. So I am super excited about reproducing this one. It will be a bit of work, but it's the kind of work that I absolutely love. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on those reproduction samplers this year. So let me lay that down and I'll show you the other one. And this one I have two different ideas for. I saw this on Richard's page as well, and what caught my eye, first of all, were the colors. I love that kind of a lime green and that pretty pink. And I just thought, oh my goodness, those are some of the prettiest colors I've seen lately in a sampler. Beautiful little border that reminds me of little hearts. To me, it kind of looks like little hearts around it. And then I loved, it looks like little cherries hanging from that little band across the sampler. So I had to have it. So this is one that I want to do two different things with. I want to reproduce the sampler, and then I want to take this center section right through here and place it on a drum. I think that would make a beautiful drum. Those flowers are so pretty in that center section, and I just can see that on a drum. I know I'm kind of in a drum mood lately, maybe, so we'll see how that comes. But those are two that I cannot wait to get started on and be able to share them with everybody. So that's kind of where my new year is going to head, I think. Focus on doing a little bit more with my reproduction work and continue the bag sales and continue the retreats. So just stay tuned. The best place to do that is either on my Flosstube or if you have not joined my Facebook page, it's Violets and Verses. Please do that. And I've always post any upcoming retreats, any sales. I post dates and sneak peeks on that as well. And so hopefully that gives you something to look forward to. Now, I have been Stitcher's Garden. You know where I've been. But I've been several other places too. So I have quite a bit of haul that I want to show you. But I'll start with Stitcher's Garden. I showed you the Mary Ellis adaptation that I did. And I picked up this little piece of wool from Stitcher's Garden that I'm going to use on the top and bottom of my drum. Then I have this Love Completely that I'm going to work on. I'm going to try working on it this weekend. I'm going to show you what I found to put it on. I'm really excited about it. I got this little at Sturbridge Roses, and it's a complete kit. So in the kit, you get the linen, you get the silks, you get the fabric, and then you get that little horn book to actually do part of the design and put on it. I don't know if you can see the front a little bit closer. There it is. So I just thought that was sweet, and that looked like something fun for Valentine. Then, I think this has been out a little while, but I love this. Grown with Love by Hands On Design. And I'm going to try and do that to go in a little dough bowl that I'm going to show you here in just a minute. So those are my goodies from Stitcher's Garden. I also purchased some threads. And I'm not sure. You guys can give me your opinion. For the denim band sampler stitch along that I told you I signed up for, and I'm still waiting on my banding, so when it comes in I want to be ready to go. So I looked at some threads and tried to think, what blue thread do I want to use? Well, this is Blue Lagoon by Classic Colorworks, Belle Soie, and it's a little deeper blue. It has some variation in it, but not a whole lot. This Mer Blue is also Belle Soie by Classic Colorworks, and this is actually the color I used on the Mary Ellis adaptation, and I love stitching with it. It has very light spots of blue, and then it has some darker areas, and it shows up beautifully when it's stitched. So I thought, well, I might want to use that again. Then this is completely different. This is Water Lilies, and it's a silk. And I was trying to see the Saint Tropez, And my living room has blues, yellows, whites, and this had a pretty blue, but it has a little bit of yellow in it. So I thought, well, that might be kind of neat to have a different color in the band as well. So I'm just kind of staring at these three, trying to make up my mind which one I think would be prettiest done in that band sampler. So I went ahead and bought one skein of each so I could just kind of look at them and be deciding before my banding gets here. So that was also from Stitcher's Garden. Now, I want to show you some other goodies that I picked up that I think will be great for finishes. So you might want to get a pencil and paper and a pen and write down the names of where these are going to be. And don't worry though, because I will post down below where I purchased them along with the numbers. So if you don't have a pencil and pen to write it down, you can go down below later and get all that information. Target has their little dollar spot sections. And when I went in, I found this little wooden heart, but I want you to look how nice and thick that is. It's $5 and it will sit flat. So wouldn't that be cute to paint and mount some kind of little Valentine stitching on? So that's one piece that came from Target. Then Michael's had these little heart, I think it's supposed to be for like a picture, it holds your picture. But I know I found a little Volkswagen van last summer, and I stitched a surfer on a piece of perforated paper and clasp it in the little holder like this. So I'm going to try stitching a Valentine design on some perforated paper that I can just clip in this and use. So I got this at Michael's, and I think it was maybe $1, so it wasn't much at all. I also have one to give away, so I bought one for me and one to give away. Then this came from Hobby Lobby, and it's cute just like it is. It just says love you, but doesn't that look like it would be cute to mount a piece of stitching on? So I'm going to see what I could find that I could cut out a piece of sticky board kind of in a heart shape, mount some stitching on that as well. And that was $7.99, so not expensive at all. Then I got this little piece from Hobby Lobby. This was $20, so I paid a little more for it. But it's a cutting board, but see how nice and thick. It has a little heart cut out up here on the handle, but that will be great to put a piece of stitching on. And let me see what I did with it. Hang on. This Love Completely, my plan is to mount it on here. And I honestly think I'm going to use blues and yellows so I can put this up in my bedroom and just leave it in there. But that's the design that I'm planning on putting on here. But I think that's so cute with that little cutout. So that came from Hobby Lobby. Then Hobby Lobby was on a roll. I found this dough bowl and it was $14.99 and it's in the shape of a heart. So I'm hoping to put, there it is, kind of from the side, to get some little smalls, make some Valentine smalls that I can put in here, maybe with some little filler or something. Then, once again from Hobby Lobby, so y'all need to make a trip to Hobby Lobby. They had this little cloche, and it's a Valentine cloche. It was $14.99. And I thought it was just so sweet. It has a little top with a little heart shape. And I'm going to take a piece of sticky board that will fit inside on the bottom and stitch, make a little pin cushion or puffed, add some Warm and Natural or something to give it some dimension and put in this little cloche. I think that would be sweet. So that's another purchase from Hobby Lobby. Then I found some Valentine ribbon that will be a giveaway this week. I also found these little dishes at Michael's, and I can't, let's see how much, if it tells me how much I paid. $4.99. And it's a little heart-shaped baking dish. This would be cute for a couple of things. You could use it as a little art container. So like next to your stitching chair, this would be fun, kind of a little decoration for Valentine's, and it could hold your orts. But I think a little pin cushion would be so sweet in this little dish. So that's what I'm going to try and do. And I bought one for me and one to give away this week. So that's another goodie. Then I also, when I was at TJ Maxx, they had the cutest little bags. They have this one that just says love. It has a little handle. So that's also going to be a giveaway this week. So I did pretty good on buying. I had to buy lots of Christmas, but I also found time to get a little bit of stitching in as well. So the giveaways this week, I have the love bag. I have a set of 3 Valentine ribbons. And one of those is what I used on this little girl. And I thought that turned out so cute. And also, I forgot to tell you about this, but the fabric that I stitched her on is a petal pink that I dyed this past week. And I dyed extra that I'll have during our sale next Thursday night with the project bags. I'll have some of this fabric to sell as well. Then I have one of these little heart dishes to give away. And one of the little heart picture holders that I'll also give away this week. So lots coming up. I do have one other thing to share before I let you guys go. I designed a little Valentine freebie pattern, and it's called Stitcher's Heart. And it's located at the Violets and Verses Facebook page. You can go on, but I've also issued a challenge. We did this last fall. I did Pretty Pumpkin Challenge, and this one's just called Stitcher's Heart Challenge. And I want you to stitch the design using whatever color palette you decide. That's completely up to you. I didn't even list any colors. It's just a black and white design. So that way it encourages you to make some choices. What do you want yours to look like? And then finish it however you would like to finish it. And just be creative with it. And once you have stitched it and finished it, post a picture of your finish on the Violets and Verses page, and you'll be entered into a giveaway. And so what we'll do is I'll have this contest open from now until Valentine's Day. And on Valentine's Day, I will draw from all the entries for a winner of a $50 gift certificate to Stitcher's Garden. And even though you may not live here to visit the shop, you can go online. She's great about shipping things out. I got tickled. One lady messaged me and said that she had ordered from her, and she said, I thought, oh, I'm not going to get a pink bag, but she had pink wrapping paper in there with all of her things, so she still got something pink, and it just made me tickled. So you'll get your package of goodies that you order with pink paper in it, I'm sure. But for each time you post your finish, let's say you post your finish on the Violets and Verses page, and then you turn around and maybe you have an Instagram page. You post your finish on your Instagram page. That would be 2 entries. So for each time you post your picture on a separate forum, whether it's Instagram, it's the Facebook page, if it's on another stitching page that allows you to show finishes, wherever it may be, hashtag at Stitcher's Heart, and I will grant you an entry for each time that you post that picture. So I think it will just be a fun way for us to see different ways to finish. I can't wait. I enjoyed seeing all the pretty pumpkin finishes, because there were different color combinations, there were different finishes, and it kind of inspires all of us. We can get ideas from each other. So that's the main goal of this, just to have lots of fun, get lots of ideas from each other, and have a finished piece in the process. So I have all the information, and the PDF is on the Violets and Verses page. So if you go into the Facebook page, you can download the PDF, read all the rules about the challenge, and get started. I can't wait to see everybody's finishes. So thank you again for those of you that have subscribed. I sure do appreciate it. I've missed reading comments, so I can't wait to read this week's comments. I enjoy reading each one. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to see what I have to share. And if you're not a subscriber, please click that subscribe button so you get notifications for whenever I post another video. So thanks again. I appreciate each of you. Have a wonderful week. Hopefully you'll have some time to stitch, especially some of you that may be in a snowy area. Nothing better than cross-stitching in hot chocolate when it's snowing outside. So enjoy it. Take care, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.